You're saying there's an entire country we don't know about?
What if I told you there's a part of the Earth no one's ever seen? At least, not the people you know. Everyone's stuck believing the Earth is this perfect little globe where sure you just stroll in a circle, and boom, you're back where you started. Cute idea, right? But tell me, why don't we just cross Antarctica? Oh, right, because nobody ever has. You think it's just this cold, useless slab of ice at the bottom of the world, but that's the lie. Antarctica, it's not just land, it's a wall, a barrier. It locks us inside the tiny part of the Earth we think we know. And what lies beyond, that's where things get interesting. The people in power, they know what's on the other side. They make sure you stay clueless like good little sheep, believing you live on 7 continents. But you've got no idea what's out there. Whole continents. Oceans bigger than the Pacific. And humans who have lived beyond that ice wall for centuries were nothing more than their experiment, caged inside this small, controlled space. That's the real reason no one lets you explore Antarctica. They don't want you wandering too far because once you cross that ice, you'd realize we're not in charge of this world at all.
Section. Fiction means it's a made-up story. Fiction means it's a made-up story.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
The person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet.
Now, first of all, lad, we've got to get all these medieval ideas out of your head. Clear the way for new ideas. Knowledge of man's fabulous discoveries in the centuries ahead. Now that'll be a great advantage, boy.
Advantage indeed. If the boy goes about saying the world is round, they'll take him for a lunatic.
The world is round?
Yes, that's right. And it also goes around.
Dark continent? You're telling me there are lands beyond the ice wall with no sunlight?
Listen, don't take my word for it. Take Jonathan Hemington's. I mean, hell, he's the one who streamed it live on the dark web in 2020. Guy worked for a private research institute for aerial engineering. You know, developed these just incredible aircrafts, undetectable from radars, incredible fuel efficiency, allowing for flight durations that could last weeks. Little did anybody know the guy was just obsessed with the idea of these outer lands, the ice wall, and you know, one night he boarded a jet with a Starlink and his streaming equipment and headed directly down to Antarctica. He figured if he streamed right away, he'd be intercepted, so he waited until he was about midway through the continent, and as he started the stream, hundreds of people watched as he literally flew straight over what appeared as an enormous ice barrier. After hours and hours of continuation, passing over several different unidentified landmasses, he stopped on one of them to get a night's rest and continue on the next morning. But during that next day of flight, this was where things had taken a peculiar turn. As the sun eventually went down during flight, he wanted to wait until it came back up to get a safe landing, but as the hours went by, it never did. Eventually, due to fatigue, he was forced to land onto this dark continent, and little did he know this would be his last stop. Listen, this place he was in was nothing like we'd ever seen, okay? The environmental factors clearly showed this land had never been exposed to sunlight, pure darkness, and instead of trees, there were just these rock-textured spires that shot up into the sky.
So many ancient peoples knew about this dome and wove it into their worldview. The elite would have us believe that these are just made-up cosmologies, invented by peoples who were too scientifically ignorant to understand reality. But there is no coincidence that the same description of a flat earth and dome is so common. These cultures around the world had special knowledge about the nature of this place we are living in. Among American Indians, the sky was also conceived of as a solid dome, which would break in cycles. As Lucien Levy-Bruhl wrote, in North America, in Indian belief, the earth is a circular disk, usually surrounded on all sides by water, and the sky is a solid concave hemisphere coming down at the horizon to the level of the earth. In Cherokee and other Indian myths, the sky is continually lifting up and coming down again to the earth, like the upper blade of a pair of scissors. The dome is connected to catastrophes that have been recorded throughout the ages. What modern society calls myths and legends are in fact ancient history, and woven into various myths are descriptions of devastating celestial events. In ancient times, something very awful happened, the Great Flood, sometimes called the Deluge. It was so devastating and frightening that it remained in all of humanity's ancient written and oral traditions. Almost every culture around the world has a great flood in the pages of their mythology, including the Incas, Mayans, Polynesians, Egyptians, Hopis, Aztecs, Germans, Greeks, Aboriginals, Indians, Vikings, Chinese, Sumerians, all around the world.
You see that little flower shit, you know? That little flower shit. This dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? See that little flower shit? This little ripple shit? Notice how there's more region and there's more land masses. Watch, I'll put you a perfect example. Right here. Here's a perfect example of they cut shit off. So, obviously, they have this region charted and mapped out. But they cut it out. And they gave you this little motherfucking flower effect. Again, they have shit charted off and cut off. Look at this again. See? It's chopped off right here. You know, it's chopped off. So this is an incognito piece. If you was to look at this map, you wouldn't know what's there because they chopped it off. Now, if you take this stupid fucking thing, and you put it on the fucking bottom, all these motherfuckers would meet up on the bottom. They would all meet up. They would all meet up. They'll all meet up. Then you got Antarctica. There's one big thing on the bottom. Then you look like a globe head. That's it. Then it looks like this. And you got Antarctica on the bottom. And anything that's beyond that region on a flat surface is stitched and cut off on the bottom. And the rest of it is thrown out, like you would see here. So the rest of the land region here and beyond is not for us to know about. You catching me? So it shows you all of Antarctica and beyond. See that? So this would be Antarctica. And then there's oceans beyond it. And what they did with this flower effect, like I did in the last, in another live I did, they cut out all the regions beyond Antarctica. And they stitched it up. So as you can see, throughout the whole map of the realm that we live in, you know what I'm saying? There is a ring of land. And there's openings. Like this. So they show us our regions, they show us Antarctica, and they show us different types of parts of Antarctica where there's a bunch of islands which make a giant ring, as you can see. A giant ring around the realm that we live in. And they tell us we can't pass the 60th parallel. Why? Because they don't want us finding out about this shit. That's why. Back to the map as I was explaining. As you can see, clearly, there's oceans and ridges and islands beyond Antarctica. And openings beyond Antarctica. And it's a detailed map. It's extremely detailed. And I can zoom in with clarity. The map is, I believe, 9 by 9 or 10 by 10 feet. So if you really get a clear view of this map, there's nothing you'll miss.
I'm saying back to them, like, just trust me. You guys don't understand, right? Like, we've been lied to. Trust me, you'll see what's ahead. They're going, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, we're just going to come back up around the other side of the globe. You know, they're telling me we're going to hit the Indian Ocean, Australia, right? They were thinking in terms of the global model. But this is where it gets crazy. You know, as they realize I ain't stopping, one of the other pilots says to me, he goes, listen, you land that thing now, we sign an NDA and go home, act like this never happened. But go ahead, continue forward if you must, but just know it's a one-way ticket. You ain't ever coming back.
What did you do?
What I set out to. I could see the wall by this point. There was no turning back. And as I fly over the wall, the other jets behind me just hit wide pivots to turn around, and the pilot radios me one last time. He goes, crazy son of a b****. Good luck, kid. And I mean, look, I just soar off into no man's land. I'm baffled. I'm seeing land masses that have never been accounted for. The navigational equipment on the jet is no longer working, but I know as long as I stay due south, I'll reach Panthea. I'll reach the Dark Continent. And lo and behold, 30 or so hours later, sun goes down and it...
Right, of all the countries. Yeah. Look, I'm going to show you another map. They found it in Japan of what the Earth low-key is supposed to be. So this is how... Really? This is low-key the map.
That's
like the circle?
That's the regular map that
yeah, the circle. Yeah, that's us. And outside is like 20 different countries. And what I'm saying is, right, think about it. There's no way to figure out how big the Earth is unless you see it yourself. The government could have many islands, like private islands, that they don't put on maps.
Facts!
Like,
this is
sites,
pure facts.
Like bomb sites, as just bunkers, they don't have to put it on the map.
That's true.
Like NASA controls all of that. They control what we see. They control what we know. So what I'm thinking is that little circle is us, right?
Yeah.
And NASA is trying to like edit everything out, like edit all the real, like how big the Earth really is.
Facts.
Like and the things on the other Earth is like aliens. And like, you know, when we see UFOs, those are just like aliens just passing over.
By.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And on some even crazier, right? What if like the aliens made treaties with us, right?
Oh, so we're working together.
Well, yeah, but the higher up people, you know how we think we're in like a simulation sometimes, but we're not in a simulation. We're just in the system. They're just studying like how we act when it goes left, like nuclear bombs, war, disaster, diseases, and they're just.
People think this is what it means when we say flat Earth, but this is wrong. In fact, this is actually what it looks like. As you can see, we are inside of the ice wall, but there's also other countries as civilizations beyond the ice wall.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
This is
that Jupiter?
You would think that's Jupiter, but that's because you're programmed. It's actually a lake with ducks and grass. Okay? So what I'm showing...
That is brainwashing. That is so good.
Right? And this is what NASA shows us. This was a picture from 2014 that everyone's seen. They also have this giant globe that's painted this way in the NASA facility. There's photos of it from a distance in the daylight. And then 2 years later, they said, hey, we realized that Jupiter has a magnetic core because we got pictures of the northern lights. Look at this. You don't need Photoshop for this. You need MS Paint, okay, to drop that in there. This is an official picture from NASA saying that this is the northern lights. And if you look, this is all clouds, right? They haven't changed in 4 years. Look, every cloud is exactly the same. This is
Apparently
just lighter.
It's not hard to lie. People buy it.
But how about make a new one? Change the shape of this forever storm. You know, that's the big pretty. How about this? Why don't we see any land when we're looking down at the ocean from the space station?
Why? Because you're over top of ocean.
Okay, well, don't you think they could be fooling us with this picture?
Okay, I give you this.
Wait, watch the picture. Watch the picture.
I know that they've airbrushed some stuff.
It's not airbrush. This is us in our front yard on a solar panel, and we tricked you, showing you how easy. We have zero budget. They have $65 million a day. NASA says, you know, these are new planets. Okay. Would you believe? Why would you believe that?
Why wouldn't you?
Because they're frying pans. They're the bottom of frying pans. Again, zero budget. Zero budget. I'm just showing you how I have no budget.
I had a feeling that you did something, so that's why I was just going to say.
Yeah.
You swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen.
This is what they want us to see, yo. This is what they don't want y'all to know.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored. It's a tremendous. So there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Why do y'all think that they have this map so detailed to even like the coloration of the different waters? We're talking about even the smallest islands of the islands. Make it make sense. Yo, I've been doing this, this content for a long time, and y'all know that. I'm goated at this shit, you feel me? Look at that. Bro, they got Asgard. Y'all know they be putting the truth inside the movies, yo. Y'all know it. Look at that. Everything is detailed down to the brim. These are the maps they don't want y'all to see, bro. Look at the different colors of the water. Y'all know that's like the different depths and everything. And then y'all seen what I post the other time. Look, all the different names of the oceans and everything. Say it ain't so, y'all. Say it ain't so. And then y'all heard what Emerald Bird said. That was Emerald Bird. For those who don't know, I'm pretty sure a lot of us know by now. But if you don't know, that was Emerald Bird that was talking. One of the greatest explorers of all time, y'all. Tell me, how could it be land beyond this that they didn't discover at that time frame? I want y'all to make it make sense, y'all.
They always put the truth in our face. Do you believe we live under a firmament dome? They always put the truth in our face.
And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the
They
ocean
always
itself
put the truth in
down
our
into the
face.
stadium.
Oh, we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you. It's got about 18 million cracks in it. I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we.
They which enter in may see the light. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.